Now, for more on all of this, we're pleased to be joined via Skype from Connecticut by the former Lieutenant Governor of New York, Betsy McCaughey. And also with us tonight from Newsmax Washington, Chairman of ConservativeHQ.com, Richard Viguerie. Great to have you both tonight on Newsmax Prime. Let's get and concentrate on something in terms of those of us who've become Trumpologists. There was the Donald this morning on Fox, and we heard Newt in the report that John offered. Newt was pretty harsh, but listen to how Trump responded this morning on Fox and Friends.
This case should have been thrown out on summary judgment. And if somebody else were there, this would have been thrown out on summary judgment. As far as Newt is concerned, I saw Newt. I was surprised at Newt. I thought it was inappropriate what he said.
So only one line, Betsy. That's pretty muted response from Donald.
That's right. But what's really happening here is you're seeing this left-wing liberal lynch mob against Trump. And what's so discouraging is to see all these wimpy Republicans trying to help them get the rope over the tree instead of standing up for Trump and pointing out that what he's really objecting to is this judge self-identifying as Mexican, joining a group of lawyers and judges who identify based on their race and ethnicity, not based on their commitment to legal principle. They're the ones calling themselves Mexican or Hispanic. And he's simply saying, look at this judge on my case who's making a big deal out of his own Mexican heritage.
Richard Viguerie, let me come to you. You know, Trump is outspoken. And a lot of people have said that's something we've been lacking in conservatives. We've had to be nice, and we've had to mute our responses. What's your take on all of this?
Well, I think it's much to do about nothing. I mean, this is Donald Trump being Donald Trump. And in a day or a week, we're going to be chasing another story. Donald Trump's had, 30 near-death experiences. And each time the entire political community, including me and probably you, J.D., have predicted him, this is a disaster. Well, he survived and grew in popularity after each time that the political community thought he had a gaffe. So this is going to go by the wayside, and by the time we get to August, September, October, Hispanics, minorities of all kinds, and independents, they're going to be looking at the jobs, national security, the border. They're going to be looking at things that are going to affect them and their pocketbook, their lives, their security, and this is going to be ancient history.
All right, let's listen to America tonight at 1-877-Newsmax. First to Atlanta, where Mike is on the line. Mike, welcome to Newsmax Prime.
Hi, JD.
Hi.
I would just call to basically illustrate the hypocrisy of the left. They publicly accuse judges, cops, and juries of bias, and they base that solely on race on many occasions. And then they turn around and attack Trump for doing the same thing. From a white cop killing a black child, and somehow he can't be impartial. It's the same thing. It just shows the bias.
So, Mike, you're really pointing to Ferguson, and then I thought about Baltimore. Betsy, what about Mike's analysis that it's hypocrisy with the left being so tough, but somehow conservatives are supposed to just be quiet?
Exactly. The left is always making the argument that a black defendant can't get fairness from a white jury, right? This is exactly the same thing. And remember Sonia Sotomayor bragging during her Supreme Court confirmation hearing that she was going to bring the point of view of a Latina to the Supreme Court, as if that's what's needed.
Let's go to another phone call from my old stomping grounds. Prescott Valley, Arizona is where we find Cindy tonight. Hi, Cindy.
Hi, how are you this evening?
Doing fine. Your point, please, ma'am.
Well, I'm upset over the fact that the media generally is not saying anything about the fact that our President Obama placed this judge, you know what I'm saying, to take care of the hearing for Trump's case.
Well, of course, the judge was appointed to the federal bench by Mr. Obama. But, the other thing I think of, Cindy, and I want to get Richard Viguerie's reaction to this. Remember 8 years ago, Mr. Obama on the campaign trail, when he said of his own grandmother, quote, she's like a typical white person. Or he said in another controversial case, if I had a son, he'd look just like Trayvon. Why is it always, Richard, that the left gets a break from the dominant media culture? We've got about a minute.
Well, you know, we all know that there's a double standard when it comes to conservative, and you know, there's a lot of hypocrisy on the left here. And so what's happening at the grassroots, JD, what's driving a lot of this support for Trump, and at some point during the primary with Cruz and Carlos Farino, is the silence of the Republican leaders. They just are intimidated by the national media, and when Obama or the Democrats shred the Constitution, they're silent, as they are here, and they're not defending Trump. And people are just sick and tired of the weak, silent Republicans. And so I think this is going to hurt not at all Donald Trump. And I think he's going to move on to other stories. And this will be ancient history, as I said, in a very short period of time.
Well, Betsy, we say ladies first, also ladies with the final word. Richard told us this will be another episode where people predict Trump's political demise and he'll roll right through it. Do you share
That's right.
Richard's assessment?
I agree. It'll be yesterday's story very soon, and we'll all be surprised that it hasn't really made a dent in Trump's polls.
Well, literally looking ahead to tomorrow, there are primaries in several states, including California. For now, Betsy McCaughey from Connecticut, Richard Viguerie from Newsmax Washington, thanks very much for your input. And indeed, the news calendar moves along. Tomorrow, the big California primary. Is Hillary going to beat Bernie Sanders? A guy who knows Hillary pretty well and these days doesn't have too much kind to say about her, Dick Morris, will join us next. Also, more of your calls at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Stay with us as we continue Newsmax Prime on this Monday night.